Om Sai Ram. Let us understand chapter number 9, untitled by Dabolkar. But before that, let us do the Namaswaram, followed by chapter number 9, untitled by Dabolkar, and then we will conclude chapter number 9 with the Aarti. Shri Satchidananda Satguru Sainath Maharaj ki jai. Om Shri Sai Nathaya Namaha. 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 Om Sai Ram. Chapter number 9, untitled by Dabolkar. I bow down to Shri Ganesh. I bow down to Shri Saraswati. I bow down to the Guru. I bow down to the family deity. I bow down to Shri Sita Ramachandra. And I bow down to Shri Satguru Sainath. Now, let us continue the story of how devotees faced trouble when they insisted on returning to their destination without Baba's permission, and also of the mendicant lifestyle of Baba which he had adopted and which he practiced until the end for the washing off of the five sins for the sake of good of his devotees. Beginning from Brahman, the permanent and immovable, and ending with all immovable objects, Sai himself is manifest everywhere. Sai being kind, imprinted on all minds that God exists in all creatures. Therefore, all your listeners, I appeal to you to listen with attention. By listening to these holy stories, you will accomplish your own well being. This was the characteristic of the pilgrimage to Shirdi, that if a devotee would try to return without Baba's permission, he would be inviting trouble. But once permission is given, it is impossible to stay in Shirdi even for a moment. If one stayed on, difficulties would be faced. This was the experience of all. Those who disobeyed his wishes suffered on the way. Some were robbed and they remembered their experience till the end of their life. If he had asked them to eat a little and then leave, and if still the person left hurriedly, left without food, he would not catch the train and would also go hungry. Many devotees experience this. Once Tatya Kote Patil was going to Kopargaon, where the weekly bazaar was held. On the way, he came to the masjid. He asked for the Tonga to wait, came and took Baba's darshan and bowed at his feet and pretended to ask for permission to leave. The devotee may try to evade, but Baba was aware of the propitious moment or otherwise. Seeing that Tatya was in a hurry, he asked him to wait for a while. Let the bazaar take place. Don't leave the village. But seeing that Tatya was very keen, he asked him to take Shama along. What is the point of taking Shama? Thinking thus, he disregarded his order and went and sat in the tonga and set off for the bazaar. Out of the two horses, one was very active and restless. It cost rupees 300. When they neared the well at Savul, it became unrestrained. The horse, which never needed whipping, and would reach the bazaar within an hour, suddenly got a catch in his back and began limping. So neither the market not the shopping. Tatya remembered Sai mother and felt that if he had obeyed timely, he would have avoided this accident. But nothing can be done about things past. On another occasion, a similar incident took place. Tatya set out to go to Kolhar village. He harnessed the Tonga and came to seek permission and bowed at Baba's feet. I'll just go and return. He said he had not got his consent. Nevertheless, Tatya went ahead and left. Listen to what happened next. The Tonga had the horse which ran uncontrollably. The horse started rearing. He did not pay a heed to the hurdles or obstacles on the way. It was a question of life and death. Be it so. With Sai's grace, the danger was averted. The Tonga dashed against the babul tree. It was fortunate that it broke there. Further danger was averted. Similarly, an European gentleman residing in Bombay came for Sai's darshan with some inner motive. He also had some influence with Chandolkar, who wrote a letter to Madhavrao. He asked for a tent and stayed there comfortably. Could not any more dare to climb the steps of the masjid and returned after taking darshan at one's sweet will against Baba's permission. Could anyone dare do that? It was known to everyone that this was impossible. He tried twice to climb the steps of the masjid, but it was all in vain. The spirit of the guest was dampened. His inner wish was to climb the steps of the masjid and bow down to Baba by falling on his knees and sit down there after kissing his hands. That was his wish. But Baba did not let him come up to sit close to him in the masjid at that time. He would he should be down in the courtyard and sit there only if he wanted. He could take the darshan from there only, but he should not come up. Be it so. Later on, he thought of leaving. He came into the courtyard to take leave. Then Baba said he should go the next day. Why is there so much of a hurry? A lot of people told him and requested him in several ways not to go. Those who left without permission had greatly repented. They said, nothing can prevent what is fated. He did not follow the advice and left without permission. He suffered on the way. At first, the carriage went on well. Later on, the horses left the track. When they were beyond the well at Savul, a bicycle came in its way. The gentleman was seated in the rear of the carriage. Suddenly, the carriage gave a jerk. It lost its balance and overturned on the road. With great efforts, the carriage was controlled. The man not dragged from a distance. Then he was picked up and put into the carriage, which then moved forward again. Shirdi was left behind on one side, Bombay on the other side of the carriage. The carriage was then taken in the direction of the hospital at Kopargaon. So be it. The man stayed there for some days, repentant and distressed. He was undergoing the punishment due to his disobedience as per his destiny. There were many such instances. People began to have fear and apprehension and began to obey Baba's wishes. They dared not disobey. In some cases, the wheel of the carriage came off. In some cases, the horse got tired. In other cases, they missed their trains, remained hungry, and had to survive on puff rice. On the contrary, those who respected his wishes were able to catch the train even at odd times. They had a pleasant journey and remembered it throughout their life. If people have doubts about why Baba preferred to beg for alms for years together, then the then get the doubts cleared and bear in mind the clarification. If we look at Baba's lifestyle, it seemed that it was the right thing for him to do is to beg alms because it gave pleasure to the people and would do good to them to fulfill their duties as householders. Who surrenders body, speech, mind, wealth at Sai's feet. Such a devotee is deeply loved by Sai. The householder is in charge of whatever food is cooked in the house. He had to offer the food to a mendicant and a brahmachari in the first place. The householder who partakes of food without giving it to him have to perform Chandrayan Vrat, which is advocated by the Shastra as a means of threefold purification. It is forbidden for the mendicants and brahmacharis to cook. If they do, they will have to forcibly observe the Chandrayan Vrat. Therefore, the Shastras have placed the onus of taking care of their needs on the householder. Mendicants never exert themselves to fulfill their hunger. Baba was never a householder and did not become a Vanas Prashantachari. He was only a brahmachari from his youth and also a sannyasi. Therefore, to beg alms was the rightful thing for him to do. The whole universe is my home. I am myself Vasudev, an all pervading God. I am myself Parabrahma. One who has such firm conviction has the fullest rights to beg for alms. He believed in the philosophy that the whole world is one family. The others who made a mockery of this philosophy, as can be seen on all crossroads. At the outset, one should only give up the wish for a son, then lust for wealth and status. One who has given up these three desires, he only has the right to beg for alms. Otherwise, as Tukaram quotes, fee upon the life depending upon charity and begging, because it is useless without understanding the meaning of such a life. The great Saint Sai is a very great Siddha or a yogi. This is known to all, young and old, but we who are full of worldly ties are do not devotedly attached to his divine feet. Without the five sacrifices, the householder is advised against eating of food, but Sai would perform these sacrifices and get the food cooked and daily purified the meals. Every day he would go to five houses and remind the host about the Atithi Yagna. So the persons were really fortunate that they could sit at home and earn punya. Those people who after performing the Pancha Maha Yagna ate the remaining food were saved from terrible and unknown five sins because the sins were burnt. The well known five sins are Kandani, pestle, chulli, lightning, the hearth fire, Udupumukbhi, water pots, Peshani, grinding, Marjani, sweeping. The grains are put in the pot, ukkal, and the pestle strikes the grain so that the chaff is removed, and unknowingly during this activity lives are destroyed, but the grains are not edible without the above mentioned treatment. Therefore, the sin known as Kandani is counted first in the list of Panchasunas. In the stove, the wood is burnt and the cooking is done. There also, without knowing, life is destroyed. This sin is known as Chulli, the second sin. Even in the grinding stone or wood grinding mill, when the grains are grounded, unknowingly innumerable lives are destroyed. This sin is known as Peshani. When people bring water in the pots from a well or a lake or a tank, or when men and women wash clothes, innumerable lives are destroyed. While cleaning the pot, scrubbing and rubbing with hands, unwittingly life is destroyed. This is the fourth sin of Udkumbhi. Similarly, while bathing in lukewarm water or while sprinkling cow dung on the floor, life is destroyed pitiably. This sin is called marjani. In order to be free from these five sins, a householder has to perform these five mahayagnas, after which the sins will be destroyed and he attains purity. This is the power of purity of mind. The pure knowledge that is gained is sinless. After knowledge, liberation is secured. This is the attainment of the goal of life. So be it. This was Baba's philosophy of medicacy, writing about which has increased the pages of this book. Listen to a different type of story. Then we will close this chapter. There should be only love in your heart. If anyone sent anything for him with someone, and if the person forgot, Baba would not forget to ask. When, whether it was a vegetable or bhakri or sweet meat, the devotion should be strong. When Sai came across such a devotee in whom there was such faith, then his love would swell. This is the story of a loving devotee which will be a pleasure to hear. If anyone forgets the task assigned to him, Baba himself guides him and puts him to the right path. His teachings were so agreeable. He gave necessary and timely awakening. Fortunate were those who experienced it, and their bliss was inexplicable. For one of his leading devotees, Ramachandra, whose father was Atmaram and whose surname was Tarkad, Sai was a haven of refuge. But as he was known as Baba Sahib Tarkad by all, we will use the same name in this book, as it is not necessary to use the other name. With overflowing love for Sai, Tarkad used to be overwhelmed and, as it were, be anointed by it. And when he described his experiences, listening to them was a pleasure. Oh, how great was his devotion! At every step, he would experience sight, and each one would be more marvelous than the other. He would relate these experiences accompanied by appealing gestures. Baba Sahib was an unparalleled devotee. He had a painting of Sai's image at his home in a huge, beautiful sandalwood shrine, which he worshipped thrice a day. Tarkat was very fortunate in having a son equally devoted to Sai. He did not even eat his food till he offered Naivedya to Sai. Having taken a bath early morning, he would always perform the puja of the picture with his whole heart, mind, speech, and body, and offer Naivedya with full devotion. This was his daily routine, which was carried on without any expectation. His labor bore fruit. He had excellent experiences. Even his mother was a great devotee of Sai. She desired to go to Shirdi, and the father wished that the son should accompany her. She wished to go to Shirdi and take the darshan of the powerful Lord, spend some days there, and actually serve at his feet. Although his father wished it, the son did not wish to go, as he was worried as to who would perform the puja regularly at home. His father was a Pratana Samajist. Would it be right to ask him to take the trouble to do an image worship? This was a big dilemma for the son. Nevertheless, knowing his wishes, the son was ready to leave. He entreatingly and lovingly requested the father, listen to this wonderful story. Unless Sai is offered Naivedya, no one should eat food at the home. Until this is promised, I won't be able to go carefree. The father already knew the son's daily ritual. He said, go, I will do the Naivedya regularly. You may remain without anxiety. Before making the offering to Sai, no one will partake of the food. Take this as my word of honor and do not hesitate. Go at ease. Having been trusted, assured, the boy left for Shirdi. Then, from the next day, Tarkad immediately himself did the puja. The next day, before starting the puja, Baba Sahib Tarkad came before the portrait, prostrated himself, and prayed, Baba, accept my services in the same way as my son was doing the puja. Let it not just be a drill on my part. Pour your love into my heart. Having bathed early morning, Tarkad began doing puja with devotion every day in the morning, offering Naivedya also. Baba Sahib used to offer a piece of rock sugar in Naivedya every day. This practice continued uninterruptedly, but one day it was broken. Once, being preoccupied with official matters, Tarkad forgot, and everybody had their meals without Naivedya one day. Tarkad Sahib was the chief officer of a big mill. Therefore, in the morning, he had to go out every day for his work. Then, by the time it was afternoon, he returned. As mentioned earlier about the sugar prasad, when he sat down to his meals, he partook of it. This was the usual practice. On one occasion, he forgot the sugar was not put as naivedya, and he also did not get the prasad. Every day, the cook would serve the piece of sugar last, but when he started his meals, as if it was a purification of the food. But on that day, at the time of the puja, there was some hurry and the sugar naivedya remained undone. Therefore, he also had no prasad. Immediately, Tarkad left his meal and, being very repentant, bowed down to the portrait of Sai with tears in his eyes and said, Baba, what an illusion have you shown? How did you cause this confusion in my mind? How did you let me just do a drill? First, forgive me. It is not a mistake, but a great sin. I am greatly repentant. A mistake, but I did not deliberately make the mistake. Please be merciful to me. He prostrated himself at the foot of the portrait. He was full of remorse. He said, Maharaja, cloud of mercy, have pity on me. Saying this, he sent a letter to his son in great humility and shame. A great error has been committed by me. Pray that I may be forgiven. Have mercy on the one who has completely surrendered. Pray entreatingly to Sai in these words. As for this humble servant, his gesture of forgiveness and his assuring words. This incident took place at Bandra, whereas Shirdi was 100 kos away, but the news reached there immediately. Listen to Baba's words about it. Now, proof of Maharaj's ability of the knowledge without distortion, beyond time and place, and about the past, present, and future. On that day, here, while the sun was in Shirdi, at that very moment, what happened when he bowed down at Sai's? The listener should hear carefully. The son, full of enthusiasm, came with his mother to pay homage. Listening to what Sai said to his mother astounded him. Oh, mother, what should be done? Today I went to Bandra as usual. I did not get anything to eat or drink, rice, water, and had to return hungry. Mark the bonds that we have from the past birth. Even if the doors are closed, I enter at my own will. Who can obstruct me? The master of the house was not at home. I was ravenously hungry. I had to return without food in the heat of the afternoon sun. When he heard these words, the son immediately realized that the father perhaps had forgotten to offer Naivedya. The son requested Baba and to let him go home, but Baba did not allow him and got him to do the puja there only. The very day he sent a detailed letter to Shirdi. On receiving and reading the letter, the father's heart melted. His letter was also received there. The letters crushed. The son was also surprised. His eyes was also filled with tears which had rolled down. See the sport of Sai. Would love not gush forth? How could it be so stone hearted? Who would not melt by this? Now listen to the miracle of Baba's favor shown to the loving mother of the very boy. Once, when she was in Shirdi, when she was in the kitchen and the leaf plates were set for the meal in the afternoon, a hungry dog came at the door. A piece of bakri which was in her plate was about to be to, given by her to the dog. When a pig, bespattered with mud, arrived there, obsessed with hunger, she felt both. This incident happened in its natural course. She did not give any importance to this or bear it in her mind. But Sai, on his own, opened this topic when she was present. After the afternoon lunch, when the lady came as usual and sat in the masjid at some distance, Sai said kindly, "Oh mother, you have fed me today because of which I am full up to my throat. I was overcome with hunger and you satisfied me. You must act like this always. Truly, one, this will prove useful ultimately. Sitting in the masjid, I do not ever speak the untruth. This is the universal truth. Know this that in this is the kindness which I preach. Give food to the hungry first and then eat yourself. Remember this clearly in your mind. What did Sai Samartha say? The lady could not understand anything. What was the implied meaning of this? His words were never futile. She said, "How could I have served you? How could it happen at my hands? I am dependent. I spend and eat whatever I can get." Baba answered her and said, savoring that lovingly given chapati, I became fully satisfied and I'm still blenching. When you sat down for your meals, you suddenly saw a dog come to the door which was suffering from extreme hunger. I am the one with that dog. Similarly, I am the one with the pig, bespattered with mud, which was also hungry and miserable. When she heard Baba's words, the lady was very much surprised. Dogs, pigs, cats, which wander, are they one with Baba? Sometimes I'm a dog, sometimes a pig, sometimes I'm a cow, sometimes a cat, sometimes an ant, a fly, or a fish. I move about in different forms. That person who sees me in all creatures, you must understand, is my beloved one. Give up the belief in two-folded nature and worship me in this manner. These were not just ordinary words, but nectar. She was overwhelmed with emotions. Her eyes were filled with tears of happiness, and her throat was choked with emotion. Similarly, there is another story of this lady, which is wonderful and depicts love. It shows the oneness of the great Sai with his devotees, and that the two Atmas are one. Once, when Purandhare, with his wife and children, set out for Shirdi, she gave him brinjals with affection, which she requested his wife to make bharta with one for Baba and Kacharya, crisp and brown from the other, and fed him heartily with him. His wife accepted the brinjal, and when she reached Shirdi after the arti at lunchtime, she took the bharta. At as was the custom of the lady, offered Naivedya, kept in the thali, and left. Baba collected everyone's Naivedya and sat down for the meal. When he tasted the bharta, he relished it and shared it with everyone. He felt like eating acharyas and asked for them at that time. A message was sent to Radha Krishna I that Baba is waiting to finish his meal and he desires to have acharyas. No one knew what to do about it. That was not the season for brinjal. So how could that preparation be made? Therefore, a search for Purandare's wife was made, and for the bharta. The bharta was in the thali which she had bought. Therefore, it was possible that she might be having some spare brinjals. When she was questioned about it, all came to understand about the significance of the kacharya and also about Baba's keenness for them. The lady said that out of one brinjal, Bharta was made and offered in the afternoon, and that thought that she would take the kacharyas later on. Therefore, the second one had been cut accordingly. Later on, when this episode about brinjals came to be known to everybody gradually, Everyone was surprised at seeing Sai's all knowing nature. Again, in the month of December 1915, the same lady sent a peda for Baba with great love. Since Balaram had expired, to perform the last rites, his son had to go to Shirdi. He had come to take leave and asked if there is any message. The son came to Tarkat to say that he was leaving. The wife felt like sending something for Baba with him. Except for the peda, there was nothing else to be found in the house. Moreover, the peda had already been offered in as Naivedya. The son was also in a hurry to leave. Besides, the son was in mourning period. There was only one peda left over. She had sent that itself with him as an offering for Sai to eat. She said that she had nothing else. Take this only. Give this with love to Sai. Sai will eat it with pleasure. Govindrao took the peda with him. But when he went to take the darshan, he forgot it at the place where he stayed. Baba was yet quite patient. Afterwards, in the late afternoon, when he came to the Darbar hall, like the previous time, he forgot and came empty handed into the masjid. What have you brought for me? Baba casually asked him. Nothing at all, he said, at which Baba tried to hint and reminded him, has no one given you anything for me? On this saying no, Sai Samartha directly questioned, oh, when you left home, did not mother give you a sweet lovingly? When he remembered, he was very much ashamed. How did he forget? With his face downcast, he asked for forgiveness and bowed at Baba's feet. He went running to his place, bought the peda, and gave it to Baba. As soon as he got it in his palm, he put it in his mouth and thus gratified the feelings of the mother. Such is the great Sai Mahan Bhav. He reciprocates the feelings by giving experiences. He increases the prestige of his devotee. The essence of these stories is that one should perceive God in all living beings. This is also acknowledged by all the Shastras. The same is the doctrine of these. Now, while listening to the next chapter, you will understand about Baba's mode of living, where he used to sleep, at which place. Listen to that carefully. Hemad surrenders to Sai's feet. Listeners, think about the foregoing stories with respect and meditation daily, and you will be benefited. May there be well being. This is the end of the ninth chapter of Shri Sai Satcharithra, written by the devotee Hemad Pant, impelled by saints and virtuous people. This is an offering to Shri Satguru Sainath. May there be auspiciousness. Now let us do the arti. श्री सच्चिदानंद सतगुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय शिरडी माझे पंढरपूर साई बाबा रमावर बाबा रमावर साई बाबा रमावर शुद्ध भक्ती चंद बागा भाव कुंडली गंजागा कुंडली गंजागा भाव कुंडली गंजागा याओ याओ अवके जना करा बाबा श्रीवंदन साई श्रीवंदन करा बाबा श्रीवंदन तनु बने बाबा साई धाव पाव माझे आई पाव माझे आई धाव पाव माझे आई अनेलु तांगण बने कचरण तुयाति पायन रूप तुझे प्रेमीन रंगीन अनंत पूजिप पवेव मायन बने नमा पवेव मा करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणाय इति समर्पयामि अच्युतं केशवं राम नाम नारायणं कृष्णदामोदरं वासुदेवं हरे केशवं माधवं गोपिकावल्लभं जानकीनायकं रामचन्द्रं हरे हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे श्री गुरुदेव दत्त सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय. Om Sai Ram. I urge all the listeners to read one chapter of the Sai Satcharithra every day and soak in Baba bliss. Baba bless you. Om Sai Ram.